Hi guys, how are we all? Can you all hear me? Yep, thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. We will get started because I do have everyone's time in mind. So thanks for joining us. As I said, it's the Business Basics Grant program that we're going to cover off today, and that's everything that you need to know. Welcome, and my name is Renee and I'm from Digital Surfer. Today's session is to help you understand all of the information and documents you'll need to have ready when the portal for the grant opens on Monday. I've been in contact with the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training who have advised they believe the opening time is going to actually be 9 a.m. on Monday, the 31st of May. This may change, so I do recommend that you log into the Business Basics grant page on Monday just to check that. The session that I'm going to provide is general information about the grant and is not specific to any business. Therefore, if you have any qualifying questions specific to your business, please contact the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training directly via email or on the Small Business Hotline. So you can see on the slide those details are there. You are all muted, which is fantastic. If we can stay like that throughout the presentation, that will help. And at the end, if you have any general questions in relation to the presentation, I'm happy to answer any of those, but if it's specific to your business or clarity on eligibility, you'll need to email or call the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training. The session is being recorded, so once we're finished, we'll email you a copy of the recording along with the checklist that we have created to assist you in getting prepared for Monday. Being prepared is the key. We have successfully applied for previous grants ourselves and found that the hardest thing on the day is getting all of the documentation and information ready that they need. So by listening to this session and having time over the weekend to prepare your stat deck, gather any of your evidence and have all of your pre-written small business descriptions ready, this will hopefully help you on Monday with the application process and make it stress-free. So let's get started. So what I just quickly spoke on before was that we've created a checklist for your use, which we will email out shortly, and it will give you a summary of everything that you need to get prepared. Down the bottom of that sheet is also relevant links to all of the information that we will be discussing today. So if there's one slide that is the most important slide in this session, and that is the eligibility criteria. If you meet all of the criteria, then all you need is time to gather and create all of the required information. So the criteria is that you must have fewer than 20 employees by head count, have an active ABN and be registered for GST, have a Queensland headquarters, have an expected turnover of 300,000 or less for the current financial year. So that's the 2021 year that we're in now, and that the owner or directors are not insolvent or an undischarged bankrupt. In the application, you also need to confirm that you have read and understood all the guidelines and terms and conditions. These links can be found within the website page for the Business Basics grant or also in the checklist. So if you're eligible in the criteria, there are 5 eligible areas that you can actually use the grant for. So we've got training and coaching, website builds and upgrades, professional business advice, strategic marketing services, and business continuity and succession. So that covers off all of those areas. So for the strategic marketing services, that does also include SEO strategic campaigns. There is also a list of non-eligible activities that can be located within the Business Basics Grant website. So make sure that you have a look at those non-eligible activities. And when we're doing the short descriptions for your application, make sure that you're avoiding using any of those wordings or terms that are not eligible. Okay, so the conditions. If you have met the eligibility criteria, there are a number of conditions that apply to the grant. So there's upfront. Upfront, there's a fixed $5,000 funding amount. So you can't actually go underneath that $5,000. If it's anything less than that, you're not eligible. So that excludes GST. So if you're getting any quotes, it should be $5,000 plus GST. You can have up to 2 quotes within the application. Anything over 2, they won't accept it. So, for example, if you wanted to use a portion of it for website and then another part for strategic marketing, you can do that as long as it adds up to the $5,000. You can actually get more than $5,000 as well, but you just need to fit the gap over the $5,000. The application must be completed within the Smarty Grants portal, which will only be available on Monday, and that's through the Basics Grants program website page. They won't accept any applications that are done through the post, email, or through PDF. You do not need to provide any financials for this grant application. You only need to obtain a statutory declaration that declares that you have an expected turnover of $300,000 or less for the current financial year, and that you met all the eligibility criteria that we spoke about in a previous slide. Within the checklist and within the Business Basics Grant website page, you'll find a copy of the required stat deck that needs to be filled out. It basically tells you exactly what wording needs to be on there. You just need to put your name and your business details and then have that signed by a Justice of the Peace or Commissioner of Declaration. If you don't know any of these and they're not in your local shopping centres, there's also a link to the approved witnesses on the Justice and Attorneys General website. So you can go over and have a look for one of those. Once you have that completed, make sure that you either scan it or take a photo and save it to your computer, because all documents for the application need to be uploaded. One of the key areas that you need to do is verify that your business is located in Queensland. So with the evidence, you need to have a copy of your Australian Security and Investments Company statement, which shows your address based in Queensland. And if you don't actually have that and you've moved location since you did register your business, your accountant can actually write a letter for you confirming that your business has moved to Queensland. Once you're actually in the application, you need to put your full address in. So it needs to be a physical address, not a PO box, because you need to place the PIN. There's a map that appears in your application once you've put your address in, and you just need to move the PIN to make sure that it's in the correct position. Some of the other general information that you're going to need to get your application ready is your ABN number. If you're unsure of what that is, you can go to the link within the website or in the checklist that has ABN lookup. Type in your business name and that will come up for you. Have your bank account details ready, so your BSB account number and the account name, the number of employees that you have, so that's actual people, they only accept full numbers, and your industry sector code. If you're unsure what your code looks like, there's a link there which is also within the checklist that you can click on. Once you're on that website, to the far right, there's a search function. So you just type in your industry and it will actually tell you what your code number is. So record that so that you can copy that over to your application. There are a number of sections throughout the application that you're required to provide short descriptions. There are 5 sections and they all have a word count limit. So it's best to have these prepared over the weekend so that you have time to effectively answer the questions with all the required information, whilst also being able to stay within the word count. So the first question or description that you need to provide is a description to describe your business. So that's the products or services that you actually provide as a business and who your actual target market is. So that's 100 words or less. You need to title your project. That can be anything that's relevant to yourself. It just needs to be 15 words or less. Then you need to provide a short description of what activity you're actually going to undertake with the funds from the grant. So that needs to be 200 words or less. So that was a selection out of the 5 categories that we covered off earlier. And remembering that it's a maximum of 2 quotes. So only cover off the areas that you're getting quotes for. Then there's a 4th description that you need to complete, which is how the grant funded activities are going to enhance the core skills of the business and make it more competitive. So what change are you going to see within your business that's going to allow you to grow from gaining this grant? And then how will the grant fund activity assist your business to grow revenue, profit, and to create jobs? So question 5, there's a couple of other questions within the actual application that make you specify how much you're going to grow by with turnover and profit. So make sure that you're including those figures into your answer of those 200 words as well. Throughout the application, there will be questions that you need to provide answers to in relation to your financial details. So you need to know what your expected turnover is for the current financial year. So that, as I said earlier, that's 2020 to 2021. So you need to make sure that that is 300,000 or less. So the turnover is where you're up to now, plus the estimate up to the end of the year. And then you need to also work out what your expected gross profit will be. So that's your business turnover less the cost of goods sold or cost of sales. Then there's another section which is in relation to that question 5 for the descriptions that you need to do, and that is your expected outcome over the next 6 months. So they need to know what the revenue growth will be. So this is the expected increase, not the total revenue. So if you're currently earning 250,000 turnover and you expect that it's going to increase your by gaining this grant, it's going to increase your revenue by 50,000, then you would put in the amount of 50,000. You need to do the same equation for your gross profit. And then you also need to indicate whether you feel that by gaining this grant, it's going to increase your employee count within your business. So again, that just needs to be whole numbers. Okay, supplier details. So this is the quotes that you need to attach to your application. So what needs to be on those quotes is your supplier name, the description of the services. So these need to align with the funded activities you're applying for. So training and coaching, website build or upgrade, professional business advice, strategic marketing services, or business continuity and succession. So the quote amount, excluding GST, must be in Australian dollars. The quotes need to be uploaded to the application. So have these saved on your computer prior to Monday. As I've already said, it's a maximum of 2 quotes, and combined they must equal a minimum of 5,000 or more and be exclusive of GST. If your quote is more than 5,000, you just need to bridge the gap. If you do actually need a quote for a website build, a rebuild, or strategic marketing services, which does include local SEO campaigns, you can reach out to us and we're more than happy to supply you with one in line with the grant guidelines and your needs. If you're looking to do any of the other sections, make sure that you're getting onto those suppliers so that you have those quotes ready for Monday. Now, submitting the application. Once you've completed all of the sections that are mandatory, these are marked with a red asterisk next to them within the application. You may need to complete some of the other relevant questions that are not mandatory. And then you also need to upload all of your documents for verification and quotes. So the final step is to actually submit the application. So before pressing the submit button and it lodges your actual application, make sure that you have reviewed your application before you submit it, as you cannot change it after lodgement. You will receive an email receipt after submitting the application. It is recommended to check your junk folder if you haven't actually received anything. The Department of Employment, Small Business and Training hasn't received your application until you have received an email. So if you haven't received that within 2 business days and it's not in your junk mail, contact the Department of Employment for Small Business and Training. Within the email that we will send out shortly, it will have the checklist, which will actually list all of the important links and the contact details for the actual grant. So thank you for your time today. I do hope that it has been of assistance for you. Remember, being prepared is the key. So take the time over the weekend to get your stat deck signed, evidence and quotes ready, and have them all saved to your computer. And finally, have pre-written the short descriptions that are required. Remember, this session is for information only and isn't specific to your business. So if you do need to know any specific questions, I recommend you to contact the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training, refer to the frequently asked questions, read through the guidelines and terms and conditions. As discussed at the beginning, we will be sending out a copy of the session's recording as well as the checklist. One of those resources that is actually included in there is an example of the application. So I highly recommend you clicking onto that link, downloading it, printing it out so that you can actually see exactly how the application is going to look and where all of those descriptions and amounts that we've discussed today are actually going to fit within the application. There are a few other general questions that need to be answered, but they would be ones that you would know off the top of your head. On Monday, once the portal goes live, I will be recording a step-by-step video of how to complete the application and upload all of your documents. If you need to follow this process, it'll be emailed out on Monday once I've completed it. Again, if you require a quote for a website build, a rebuild, or strategic marketing services, which includes local SEO, please don't hesitate to email me at renee@digitalsurfer.com.au, and I'll be more than happy to supply you with one. I'm now happy to answer any general questions about any of the slides that anyone might have. So if you do, happy for you to unmute yourself now. No, all good. So did that all make sense to everybody?
Hello, Renee, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Fantastic. I've just got a very brief question, and it's just to do with the attachment of the supplier quotes.
Yes.
Can you attach 2 quotes that are for similar services, just as 2 options because you're not quite sure who you want to go with at that point? Do you know whether that's okay?
No, you would only be supplying one. So you would need to attach the one that you want to go with. In the terms and conditions, I have read that you can actually apply to the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training once you've got approval to change suppliers, but you can't do that without their approval.
Great. Okay, thanks for answering that. That's great.
No problems. Any other questions? Well, fantastic. I hope that it has been of help. If you do have any questions you think of afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email. We're here to assist you, and hopefully it makes it a little bit, stress-free on Monday. Thanks, guys.